It was a cold, rainy night in suburban California. My name is Alyssa Carter. I'm 20 years old, and I was home alone. My dad had gone out of town for a business conference in Seattle, and I was left in charge of the house for 2 days. Around 9:30 p.m., there was a loud knock on the front door. I hesitated. Who could it be at this hour? When I opened the door, I saw three middle-aged men standing outside, soaked in rain, jackets drenched. I recognized them instantly. Mark, Derek, and Stephen, my dad's childhood friends. They had come over a few times before, usually during holidays. "Hey, Alyssa," Mark said with a sheepish smile. "Your dad told us to stop by if we were in town. Our flight got canceled due to the storm. Any chance we could stay the night?" I blinked. He didn't mention anything to me. Stephen nodded. He probably forgot. We were texting earlier. We were supposed to crash here tonight. I was unsure. Something about their presence made me nervous. But it was raining heavily, and turning them away felt wrong. Reluctantly, I let them in. I made dinner, just some pasta and garlic bread. We all sat awkwardly in the living room while the storm raged outside. They were polite at first, asking about college, my career plans, and how I managed alone. But as the night wore on, things changed. Their tone shifted, subtle, unsettling. Their questions grew more personal. Mark leaned in closer than necessary. Stephen made offhand comments about how I'd grown up beautifully. Derek laughed too loud at nothing at all. I kept my distance, pretending to yawn. "It's late. You guys can take the guest room and the sofa. I'm heading to bed." But they didn't move. Mark smiled. "We're old friends, Alyssa. No need to be so formal." Stephen added, "Why don't you sit and relax? You seem tense." Alarms blared in my mind. I stood up. "Good night." As I turned, I heard a whisper, something like, "She's just nervous." I rushed to my room, locked the door, and dialed my dad. No answer. My heart pounded. I texted my friend Nina, who lived 5 minutes away. "Can you come now? Something's off. I'm scared." Suddenly, the power went out. The house plunged into darkness. I heard footsteps outside my room. Then a knock. "Alyssa?" Mark's voice. "Are you okay?" I didn't answer. I grabbed my pepper spray and moved quietly toward the closet, hiding. Then I heard the sound of keys. They were trying to unlock my door. I held my breath. My phone buzzed. "Nina, I'm outside." Knocking, but no answer. I bolted from the closet, unlocked my window, and jumped into the rain-soaked yard. Nina was there, umbrella in hand. I ran into her arms and sobbed. We called the police. By the time officers arrived, the men had vanished, leaving behind their soaked jackets and half-finished drinks. But the story didn't end there. An investigation began. Turns out, they weren't just old friends. One of them, Stephen, had a criminal record in another state for harassment. They'd faked the message about my dad, hoping I'd be too polite or scared to turn them away. Thanks to security cameras and my quick messages to Nina, they were eventually tracked and arrested. The night I let them in was the night I learned something terrifying. Evil doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it smiles like an old family friend. Always trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Share this story to help others stay safe, and always lock your doors. The police left around 1 a.m. after taking my statement and reviewing the camera footage. My dad booked the next flight home from Seattle. I stayed at Nina's place, shivering through the night, not from the cold, but from what could have happened. I barely slept. The next morning, I returned home with my dad. He was furious, not just with his friends, but with himself. "I should have told you never to trust anyone in my circle. Just because I know them doesn't mean they're safe," he said, his voice trembling. He hugged me longer than usual. That's when it hit me. I almost lost everything that night. But fate wasn't done with me yet. I started attending therapy. My world had changed. I no longer trusted easily. I installed security alarms, cameras, even got a dog named Shadow. One evening, while walking Shadow in the park, I saw a guy struggling with a sketchbook and a coffee cup. Shadow ran toward him. tugging the leash from my hand.
Oh,
Hey there, buddy, the guy laughed as Shadow jumped onto his lap. I rushed over. I'm so sorry. He usually doesn't do that. It's okay, he smiled. I think he likes me. I finally looked up at his face. He had warm brown eyes, short curls, and a kind expression. Something about him felt safe. I'm Alyssa, I said, catching my breath.
Jake.
Jake Miller. I'm a forensic sketch artist.
Just moved to town.
Our conversation was short, but unforgettable. I didn't realize it then, but Jake would be the one to change my life forever. Jake and I grew close. He was patient, gentle, never pushed. On our third date, he admitted he had read about my case. I didn't want to bring it up, he said, but I was proud of you. You saved yourself. Not many people would have had that courage. His words hit harder than I expected. I stared at him, eyes stinging. You think I was brave? I know you were. That night, for the first time since it all happened, I let someone hold me without fear. We sat on my porch, beneath the stars. He held my hand and whispered, "You don't have to be okay all the time. You just have to be real." And I cried. Not because I was broken, but because I was healing. The men who tried to harm me were convicted, thanks to my testimony, Jake's sketch reconstructions, and the evidence we collected. Justice was served. But something else happened too. Jake took me to that same park where we first met. Shadow ran ahead, barking excitedly. I turned to Jake, only to find him on one knee. I'm not asking you to forget the past, he said. I'm asking you to believe in the future with me. Tears spilled down my face as I whispered, yes. On the night before our wedding, my dad handed me an envelope. You should read this, he said quietly. Inside was a letter from Stephen, the most dangerous of the 3 men, written from prison. Alyssa, I don't expect forgiveness. But I want you to know that your courage ruined a dark cycle that would have continued forever. You were the only one brave enough to stop us. Because of you, 3 monsters were unmasked. I am not proud of who I was, but I'm grateful you didn't stay silent. You saved yourself, and probably others too. I hope you find peace. You deserve it. Stephen. I folded the letter slowly. My hands didn't shake. My heart didn't race. For the first time in a long time, I felt FR. Sometimes, the people you trust can betray you. But sometimes, complete strangers become your saviors. Always speak up. Always protect yourself. And never stop believing in the possibility of healing and love.